Welcome to Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey with Clarita, the podcast where we will discuss valuable insights, resources, and motivation to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Let's build a supportive community together. Subscribe now to Begin, Build, Blossom, and let's embark on your business journey. Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Begin, Build, Blossom, your business journey. Today we have with us Adoley Pappoe. Na is a licensed social worker and psychotherapist with almost a decade of experience supporting the mental and emotional health needs of children and families. Na earned her bachelor's in psychology and French studies from the University of Albany and her master's in social work from Silberman School of Social Work at Hunter College. She is licensed in both New York and New Jersey. Na has provided support in direct and clinical practice with diverse populations, including child welfare, developmental disabilities, serious emotional and behavioral disabilities, medically fragile, traumatic brain injury, and geriatrics. She also has a significant background in providing crisis intervention and intensive counseling services to children and families. She specializes in helping women work through emotional and mental health challenges related to infertility and their perinatal experience, including pregnancy and postpartum periods, as well as a host of other issues related to and affecting women, including anxiety, stress, depression, trauma, grief and loss, life transitions, relationship, and interpersonal issues. Na is also someone I call a friend. We met during child drop off at school. Daughters go to the same school. Welcome, Na. I'm very happy to have you on here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad. So, I'm going to go ahead and ask you a few questions to try to get to know you a little better and for our listeners to get to know you as well. Let's get started with two words. One that describes you now and one that described you as a child.
Inquisitive would describe me as a child, would be the word I would use to describe myself. Growing up, I wanted to understand everything. My favorite question was why, and I carried that through my early years into my teen years, got into a lot of trouble in boarding school for constantly asking why. And if I were to describe myself now, one word would be progressing. In all facets of my life, I'm progressing. In my business, I'm progressing. As a mother, I'm progressing. As a career professional, I'm progressing. And just as a human being, as a woman, I'm progressing.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, we're going to move on to a section we call Rapid Fire. This also gives us an opportunity to get to know you better. So even though we call it rapid fire, feel free to expound on anything if
Okay.
you feel the need to. So let's get started with the name of your business and what you do in business.
The name of my business is my name, Na Adoley Mole Pappoe. Well, Na Adoley M Pappoe LMSW. And I currently provide supports, emotional wellness supports, stress management supports to women who, like you said when you did that very beautiful introduction, are struggling or dealing with infertility, fertility challenges. I also provide supports and services to women who are in the perinatal phase, so women who are pregnant, are thinking of becoming pregnant, postpartum phase, years after the babies have come, a year and onward after the babies have come and are trying to settle into life as a new mom, as a mother of multiple children, also to women who, just women in general, who are dealing with what make up, like things that make up the everyday woman's experience in today's world, right? So you've got anxiety, you've got depression, we're constantly thinking, we're never stopping, we're constantly moving in and out of several different roles, and all of this altogether comes with a toll sometimes on our mental health. And so I provide supports and services as well. I've moved away from calling it therapy, because a lot of the women that I see don't need the pathologizing, right? So it's emotional wellness and stress management services and supports that I provide right now.
Thank you. And how many years have you been in business?
3 years in July.
Congratulations. Nice.
Thank you.
And are you in business full time or part time?
Part time.
And what else do you do since you said you're part time?
Full time, my 9 to 5, I work at JCCA. It is one of the largest child welfare agencies in the state. I work out of the care coordination department. I'm a program supervisor there. I also part time adjunct. I'm a non teaching adjunct over at Hunter College. I'm a field and academic advisor in the BSW program.
And in business, is there a moment you'd say has been your greatest moment so far? Or we could say your highest highs in business?
When I surpassed, and it happens quite often, so I have quite a number of highs, when I surpassed my own projections, because I can limit myself a lot for as far as how well the business would do, numbers wise, so number of clients, profit wise, those are one of the moments of highs. And then graduating, because I have graduated some clients, and what that means is basically we establish a goal, and we knock it out of the park to the point where they are stable and no longer need that ongoing support. They're able to take the stuff that has been taught to them and actually practice it on their own, so like a little bird leaving the nest. And those moments are always special as well.
That sounds amazing. And on the flip side of that, can you remember a moment that has not been the best?
Yeah, sitting and I hate marketing, I won't lie. And so like when I have to tap into marketing, like it kicks up every kind of anxiety for me, like when I have to expand on the marketing. And there are moments, as in everyone's business, right, when again you're looking at numbers and you have projections and you're not hitting your projected targets. Those moments tend to be not even bittersweet, they suck. And so those would be some of like the lowest lows I've had on the client. And it would say losing a client before we were able to journey through to the end of our target goal. But that doesn't happen too often. So
And is there a movie that you'd recommend?
I would actually recommend a series that I'm watching right now called A Midwife. It is absolutely amazing. The themes that they deal with, if you don't have the stomach for births, because every episode a baby is born and they're showing
Hmm.
you, but they deal with it set in the 50s, going into the late 50s, early 60s. It's powerful. Like the themes that they deal with, and it's British TV. You know, British TV is nothing like American TV. They go where they need to go and they tackle the topics that they need to tackle, their maternal
Hmm.
mental health issues that come up in episodes. That it's very enlightening, very informative. They did a really good job writing that script.
Well, thanks for sharing. It's been added to my list.
Good job.
So I look forward to talking to you some more about that after I've seen it. So we're going to now move on to our begin segment. Do you remember the first time you thought about starting your business?
Yeah, twofold. It was always, yeah, I will at some point get into like private practice. I have all of these things that I need to do. I will at some point get into practice. I want to get this out of the way, that out of the way. And I was speaking to a beautiful soul that I know. I've told her
Hmm.
whether she likes it or not. She fills the space of mentor in my life. She's a really good friend. She's a coach. She is doing big things in our space. And I had a conversation with her, and she was like, if you're thinking about it, why are you projecting it for something that you will do years from now? Why can't you just do it now? And then I'm sitting in my, oh, I'm not so sure. I need to X, Y, and Z. And she's like, no, there's nothing that stops you from doing this right now. So to cut a very long story short, because that was the first time, like I had been playing with the idea, but it was something that would happen. And today, as I sit here, I don't know when that someday would have been, but it was
Mm-hmm.
a someday. And literally submitting myself to conversations with Kimmy and to her coaching, because she's got an executive coaching program that she does. This was born, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't know what I was doing before.
Nice, thanks. And in terms of your upbringing, what about your upbringing would you say has led you to this current journey?
Journey of business, nothing. Nothing really that I can put my finger on. I learned really early that I sucked, right? When it came to business. I was given some books that I had to sell, magazines. Them back home we have like these teen magazines that are just for like the little ones, and a teacher gave them to me and I botched the sale. I could not remember what he said, and I'll break it down and make it simple. I don't know if he was talking to me or talking to somebody else. I walked into every classroom in school, and when the kids would ask me, because it's a popular magazine, everybody knows it, and people actually set money aside to buy it. When they asked me how much it was, I was like, I think it's like $1, but you could give me whatever you want. And so people were like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I was done. I sold all the copies that I had just to go back to have to go and pinpoint who didn't give me $1 for this magazine because they had to pay up the balance because I had significantly shorted the teacher. In that moment, I learned your trade is not for you. Okay, just leave it to the people who like numbers. I really don't like numbers. So I just stayed away from it. No experiences. That's it. I haven't done anything that, there's nothing. Like I'm thinking about what I could pull on, and absolutely nothing. Like I said, I was teasing myself with the idea of owning a practice. And I will be honest, it didn't even seem to me that it was business. It was just,
Mm-hmm.
I'll start this because I'm good at it and it's something that I know that I can do. Now, when you're looking at like the stuff that I do clinic wise, I've just always been that friend, right? Everyone has this person that they just go to talk out anything and everything. I usually joke and I say, I think I have that face. People tell me just about anything and everything. There's a lot that I know about a lot of people because I guess I just have that face. People just speak to me, and helping people untie, unpack, reassess, process, navigate has always come easy to me. And I do it very quickly and very efficiently and very, very easily with other people, more so than I do with myself and my own stuff. So it just goes hand in hand.
And when you thought about starting the practice, what steps did you take when you finally made that decision? What step did you take to actually get started?
Coaching. I submitted myself to business coaching with Kim. I can't remember how long it was. It definitely wasn't like a one session thing. And she's amazing at what she does. And again, I don't think I would have started had I not submitted myself. So we had to switch gears. It was no longer a mentor speaking to her mentee or a friend speaking to a friend. I actually submitted myself to her coaching program. And I kid you not, by the end of it, I already had my first client.
Oh, wow. So tell us a little bit more about that because my next question would have been how you got your first client. So it looks like those are interrelated. So tell us more.
Kim's program, I don't think it's one size fits all, which is what is amazing about it, right? She knows me as a person. And so she was able to isolate out those elements that needed isolating. I do very well with very strict deadlines, or else I will talk my way out of anything. And I was constantly doing it. And so she would put these challenges out where I needed to get my bio done for psych today. Just think what you want. And when I would go into session and I would start telling the story, it would be like, girl, you need to refocus, right? Come back, bring your mind. This is where you are. This is what you're supposed to be doing. So I very painfully, and I hated her for it, but very painfully put together my bio. It went live because she was like, it's good. It might not be perfect, but it's good enough, right? We're not looking for perfect right now. We're looking for you to get started. So she proofed it. I gave it to one or two people. They proofed it. It made sense. Everything was okay. signed up. Actually, she was like, here's your psych today. I'm going to give you like a referral. The first month is free. Here you go. And I published it. And that very next day, a call came in.
Wow.
The very next day. My website
Wow.
wasn't up yet. I didn't have a fee structure yet. So when this person calls me and is like, I'm interested in working with you, I'm over here like, um, just yeah. Can I get back to you on that? I gotta sit with my accountant. What accountant? I just didn't have a fee structure set up. I hadn't gotten to that point yet. But yeah, and if you're listening, I'm sorry. I love you. That was, yeah, it went live, and the very next day I got that first call, and the calls just kept coming in. I got a dedicated number, then I got the website, which I built, so it took some time. And we've been chugging on steadily since.
That reminds me of something either I read or I heard. I'm not sure, but they said like when you feel like you need to do something like a business, start a business, and you don't do it because you think you're not ready, there is somebody out there that needs you,
Hmm.
and you're holding out.
Hmm.
So do it,
Hmm.
and then that
Do
is
it.
like a very clear example of that, and I'm sure you were able to help that client, and it's a good thing she found you.
Very much so, very much so. And just to hop on what you're saying, absolutely true, because I filled up so quickly. I got to the point where even without my website being perfect, I was outsourcing some of the people that were coming to me because I was at capacity. And then I was also screening. I remember something that Kim said because I was over there fighting. Believe it or not, initially I wanted my niche to be children because again that's easy, it's what I know, it's what I do 9 to 5 is working with children. All the therapy experience that I had up until that point was with children. And so when I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to go into private practice, to me, it was a no brainer to open it with children. But again, through coaching and in speaking with Kim, she's like, I don't think that's what you're supposed to be doing. Do you realize that when you speak about my own journey, because that's what sets me apart in this space, is that I can identify with every single one of these women that comes through my doors because I have walked this infertility journey myself. Do you realize that when you speak about these things, you light up? It's light. It comes off of you really light versus when you're talking about children and it's like, well, I guess I gotta do it. If I gotta open a business, then I might as well just sit where it's comfortable and what I know. She challenged, and it took some buy-in. And I launched not knowing if I could do it. Imposter syndrome was eaten me alive, but I did it. And just the testaments, what they've said to me, what my clients have said to me, just by the simple fact that the doors were open, right? And people were coming. It was an assurity. It assured me that I was in the right space. And I remember when I myself was in this particular, on my own journey, and I was looking for a therapist myself, not just any therapist, but someone who dealt specifically with infertility and everything that came with it, could understand it and could also bring a cultural sensitivity and come with a cultural lens. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a person. So if you've got the skill sets and you know personally that there's a need and you're venturing into this space anyway, why not plug yourself in there? And that's what coaching with Kim made clear for me.
Hmm.
And here I am,
Yeah.
almost 3 years later.
Nice, nice. Wow. Well, thank you. And in terms of other things you did to get into business, like the legal side, like the making sure there are certain things I guess you need to follow by the fact that you have a license. So if there's somebody trying to get started like you did, can you tell us a little bit about those aspects of it?
So depending, so how I said that I've shifted, right? So we're not a pathology first business. Mine is not a pathology first practice. So if you're looking at traditional therapy, of course, you have to have the necessary credentials. You have to stand in private practice today. It was a little different 3 years ago, but they've rolled back some of the accommodations that they put in place since the pandemic. So you have to have your LC. You have to be a licensed independent clinician. So once you have your credentials underway, if you're someone like me who just will talk about everything and use all the right words and make it so beautiful and everyone around you eats, please put yourself through coaching or something similar, because you'll never get off the ground, right? And if you do it with someone who is in your space, they're in that exact space that you're trying to occupy, which I believe is important, because I've had Kim light the path pretty much, right? She has years on me in business in this space. She's very well read, more so than I am. So when things are coming down the pike, sometimes I'm hearing them from her. I'm also affiliated to our boards. Like there's the New Jersey Social Work Association, there's the New York Social Work Association. You should know who your governing or licensing board is, and you also want to make sure that you're not stepping out of bounds. Your license dictates where you can practice, so you want to make sure if you are trying to be open, then you're going to have to chase around a bunch of licenses. So it's a bunch of things. There are people that you need to be affiliated with. You need to stay current as you possibly can. It doesn't help if you know someone that is in the legal space, especially where social workers are concerned. You also want to have a team of people who are team that's one person who's going to walk you through finances, because everything's going to change when it comes to finances. The minute you go into business, you become a solo entrepreneur, and these were things that I had to find, and there are networks of people. Facebook groups really help. You have social workers who are also lawyers, social workers who are accountants, and these are the people you need to plug yourself into, so no one's ever spoken to you about estimated taxes. That's something that you're going to have to get very familiar with. There's still stuff that I learn on a very regular basis every single day, about being in business. And you just, again, want to make sure that you position yourself so that the information channels itself to you. So you have to be plugged in.
Definitely. And the ways that you get plugged in, I know you mentioned Facebook groups.
Facebook groups, you want to join the associations if you can. Some of them come with a monthly fee or an annual fee. Actually, it's not monthly. Pay it. Some of these Facebook groups are not free, right? Well, actually, the Facebook groups are free, but they have like memberships. So there's a specific group that I'm thinking about on Facebook. It's run by a social worker therapist who's also an accountant. Now, I don't know how she managed that, but that's who she is. And she covers a lot of the stuff that you wouldn't even think of on a regular basis with regards to accounting and finances. So plug in there. Also, networking. Networking is such a big thing. If you're considering being in any kind of business, start speaking to the people who are already doing what it is that you're looking to do. They don't need to look anything like you. They don't need to sound anything like you. They don't even need to necessarily sell what you're selling, as long as they're sitting in the exact same spot that you are planning to fill. You want to have a network of people, because I believe that without network, your business is going to crumble.
Wow. And I believe that strongly. And I'm hearing all those words that I love. I heard networking, coaches, accountants. All of those are so important. So when we were in business, there is more to it. You have to do all of those other things in order to be successful. So one can argue you don't have to, but if you're trying to be successful and you're looking to grow, those are definitely recommended. That brings us very nicely to our bill segment. What would you say is the boldest move that you've made since starting your business?
I remember, again, it was a conversation with my very impressive coach, mentor, friend. The Department of Health started to roll back. They started with telehealth. We felt it here in my at my 9 to 5 as well. There were certain provisions that were made once they decided that the pandemic was behind us, and I can tell you that was May 23 when they started to roll back all these provisions they'd done to make our lives a little easier. Pivoting is the bold move, because for a second there I was caught out, not too sure where I'm going, because all of a sudden the protections that were put in place that allowed for me to practice were no longer there.
Hmm.
And I remember scrambling and having conversations with a bunch of people trying to figure out, like, what is the next sensible and logical step? Do I shut down? Like, what do I do with my clients? And again, it was a conversation that I had had with my coach, who had had a subsequent conversation with her. There's a legal, I don't want to call him, he's a lawyer, he's a whole lawyer, with a lawyer. And she said, listen, I think this is a plan that could potentially work. You need to court the idea of letting go of this. when we think of private practice as therapists, there's a structure, there's a way it's usually done. It was pushing back from the idea of how it's done. It's pushing back and pivoting from the way everyone who had gone before me, everyone I was in contact with, was doing it, and coming up with this whole new structure that would work, but I needed to have buy in or else it wouldn't.
Hmm.
And I hated it. I hated every moment of it. Because for me, I was like, I cannot not identify as a therapist. Like, what am I going to call myself? You're a specialist in this space. So why can't you just call yourself a specialist? It's what you do all day, every day, right? You are specialized. So you're a specialist. And I'm like, no. And I don't like the sound of that. I was doing a lot of internal battles. But the pivot, the moment where it was do or die, and I could have died, but I decided to pivot. It was also conversations with a number of my current clients. They're still here. I'm saying I'm shifting models completely. Do you have buy-in? Like, are you going to come with? Because if they weren't, then it meant shifting them onward, because there's a traditional model, and I'm not, my practice is nothing traditional at all. But in having conversations with them, and I work with a lot of professional women, right? The new model was better. It suited their purposes. Now, if DOH hadn't done what DOH did,
Hmm.
I would be sitting here on the traditional path, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the traditional path. But the new model, I don't have the constraints, right? And so, yeah, I'm licensed in New York and New Jersey, but I'm not doing therapy, right? I'm providing specialized wellness
Hmm.
and stress management supports. So I'm not confined to New Jersey, New York clients. I can see anyone anywhere. All these restrictions, if you have a client who travels, if they're not in the states in which you're at, all of that just fell apart.
And I've been impacted by that quite a bit because I did move while in therapy.
Mhm.
And of course, I couldn't continue with my therapist.
There are guidelines, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with the traditional model, right? I'm fixing myself to get back onto that, because I don't see why I cannot. It would be the best of both worlds, and I would have access to both. But for right now, it serves me, it serves my clients, all happy. Just the fallback, just it works for me, it works for my model, it works.
Great. And when you say DOH, you mean Department of Health, right?
Hmm.
And also, that makes me think of change. Like you said that you needed to pivot. So it just makes me think of sometimes when a challenge is presented to us, we get uncomfortable, we push back a little bit. But then when we actually welcome it and we have help, like for in your situation, you had your coach to help you through that,
Hmm.
you can see on the other side where it can actually benefit everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that. It just gives us a chance to think about that a little bit. And when we talk about building, let's just talk a little bit more about the team. So I suppose you work by yourself, right?
Yep, for now.
But then in terms of the team that
Uh-huh.
you have your accountant, you have your coach. Who else do you work with typically?
I am actually growing. This year has been already quite the year. So up until now, so the one thing that I did do, like you're saying, was keep up. I told my coach, now you need to pivot. You need to pivot because coaching is done, right? I was going to keep clinical supervision, which I did up until a point where I no longer needed clinical supervision because I had changed models. So we pivoted again, and I keep in touch, because for me it can't just be me. You can't come sit, like, that's that part I keep. So I do have professional consultation is what I call it. I mean, it's what
Hmm.
it's called. It's professional consultation is what she does with me. So I have her, and we cover everything from specific clinical issues if they came up, to marketing, and like it's the entire gamut. Like you said, I also, my accounting is where I'm making changes, right? Up until right now, or this year, I've had one person who did my taxes, but I've learned the hard way that it cannot be just this one person that does the taxes. I need a bookkeeper. Because I was trying to do my books by myself. Yeah, no, it's okay to outsource. It's actually smart. So growing that, I mean, it all falls under the exact same umbrella. But the other thing that I'd never considered was well, two things: financial advisor and a tax planner. I need someone who's going to sit down and analyze all the numbers, and because again, my finances are not straightforward, and so taxes are not straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so growing in that way, and again, I have the, I forget what she calls herself, but then it's opening up to financial planning, because this isn't something that I had considered at all
Mm-hmm.
before. And then they make up my team. Then I have what I call my networking team, right? So there are a bunch of professionals that I remain in close contact with, because that's how I get fed and it's how I feed. There's a lot of word of mouth. It's supporting, that's networking, but I consider them a part of my. It's they're not that inner bubble, but they're in the very
Mm-hmm.
next concentric circle.
Mm-hmm.
Because without them, certain clients will not find me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the marketing team. It's
Right,
not
right,
someone whose
right.
title is a marketer, but that's what they do for me. I've had people show up at my doorstep, and it's like, this therapist said to reach out to you,
Mm-hmm.
or that person said, and I don't even recognize who the last person in the chain is. It's just that they reached out through their network and somehow connected to somebody that knows me or has heard of me and has filtered back. So it's important to maintain, very important to maintain these networks, and even outside of the space in which you practice. So if you're an
Mm-hmm.
accountant, you need to network with some people who are in finance. You need to network with some people who are in the legal space. You need to network with therapists, because we'll be sending you, you never know, like any professional. So outside of that circle then becomes like the professional network, because it's also it's marketing.
Yeah, because I guess you can always take somebody out to coffee and have those conversations as well.
Virtual coffee.
Yeah, virtual coffee, bring your own coffee.
Bring your own coffee.
Let's have a chat. I
Let's have a
agree.
chat. Virtual coffee.
Yeah, and that is so, so important because sometimes we tend to stay within our bubbles, whether it's a professional or whatever bubble we have, cultural. But it's very important to reach out, attend events in the community. I know we've done some of those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping we actually plan some of ours as well. So that is so, so important to remain connected. You just never know where your next client will come from. And building, that's so important for building. So thanks for covering that with us. And I know we talked a little bit about some of the struggles, but is there any other struggles you'd like to maybe tell us about?
One that I have struggled with on and off, that's worthy of mention, is imposter syndrome. I don't know how many times it comes up. I know on a very basic level that I am meant to occupy the space that I occupy. I know it's not by accident that I'm here and everything by design, but it does not do too much to quell those feelings. They do surface. Again, why it's important to have the right people in your corner, because between family, friends, my clients, I am reassured, I am revitalized, and I have proof that I am sitting where I'm sitting. It's a almost one step at a time battle with imposter syndrome. That's just the way you just have to keep affirming your way through and affirming your way out. But I also have the external validation. And so it's a struggle, but not one that has curbed anything that we're doing here.
Great. Thanks for sharing that with me and our listeners, of course. And when we look at blossoming in business, what does success mean to you?
Success for me would be growing this to the point where I'm able to do this on a very full time basis, growing this to see it get to its whatever its fullest potential is, right? Again, it's a one step at a time, one day at a time, one client at a time, one session at a time process. And I'm plugged in. I'm completely engaged and just working every single day till we get to that big balloon floating up into the sky moment.
Yeah, and then I hear from you that you're enjoying it as well. You're enjoying the process.
I am. It should be a crime how much I have fun here.
It does make a difference when you enjoy what you're doing and the people that you meet while you do it.
People that I meet, very special women, a very special set of women I have the privilege of journeying alongside. It is completely my honor. Might not sound that way in session because there's work to be done, but every day completely my honor.
That's great. And as you're doing this amazing work, how do you balance business and personal? How do you balance all of that?
Such a work in progress. I am so blessed that I have a little one who is so wise beyond her years and has been that way since day one. She gets it. She understands what we're doing here. She understands that mommy's helping. Are you helping people right now? Yes, I am, baby. It's not without its struggle. It's. I won't lie. There have been moments where I've had to cancel stuff. There have been moments where I'm in session and it's just her and I in the space, and we have to navigate. Okay, like it's mommy's watching you, but doing this as well. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed for a child who has wisdom beyond her years, and she makes it a little easy, a little easy. I'm not a superwoman. I'm not. I don't ascribe to that at all. I have my moments. There are days when I get up in the morning and I do nothing but spin like a tornado till I hit my bed at nighttime. But I have support. I have support in my family. I have support even in my clients. The flexibility that they show me when I need it is beyond amazing. But if I were to get very practical, it's also trying my darndest to be as strategic as I can with my schedule because I balance three different calendars, not counting my personal calendar. My daughter has her own calendar, so that would be like five, and being very strategic. You should see my calendar. Everything's color coded. I need to know where I'm supposed to be ahead of time so I can show up and give 100% of myself, or else my attention is split just by default. And so having the flexibility or being shown the courtesy of flexibility also really helps.
Nice, nice. And I like how you're looking at both sides. You and the clients, you and your daughter. Like it's not just us, right? It's also the people that we associate with and we have to work with. So that's great that you said that. And you said something about superwoman.
It's a notion I am trying to refute.
Me too.
We did not come into this world with no red cape hanging from our necks.
Hmm.
Listen, even Superwoman herself, forget Superman, let's Superwoman, because nobody really knows her. Everybody knows Superman, right? Everybody knows Batman, everybody knows Wonder Woman. They have these alter egos. They spend more time in their alter ego phase than they do in the super phases that we know them. There's a reason for that. It is not anything to aspire to. And I know a lot of us have been called, a lot of us get pulled. And it's one that I work on tirelessly with clients. You have got to refute that because that's not you. That's not the narrative you want for yourself because you will be burnt out.
I agree. And I know that since I've had my daughter and started my business and all of that, I've felt that firsthand. And I just hate when people say, well, you're superwoman. I'm not trying to be superwoman. I do not want to be superwoman. I
Mhm.
really want to learn balance and, being present and doing the best that I can without the expectations that comes with it.
Balance isn't always going. I think that's the other part is that
Agreed.
balance isn't always 50-50. Some days you're going to have to give 90%. What keeps a roof over your head? It's never going to be, it's rarely ever really 50-50, but it's as long as you've got that insight and foresight, right? This is what I have coming. Like your energy stores 100%. It's never going to go above that. It can deplete significantly, but when you're at your fullest, you're at 100%. And so you need to juggle things. If today this is 20% and tomorrow you can give it 50, then today you give it the 20, knowing that tomorrow you're going to come and give it 50%. It's when we try to do everything at the exact same time at 100% efficiency. Now you're multitasking.
It just has me thinking some more. And I'm thinking here, how do you deal with the guilt? Sometimes when I leave, like even sleeping or just having any relaxing time, I keep thinking, but I should be doing this. Then tomorrow I will be. slammed? Like, how do you deal with that?
It's just pulling up this picture. I actually have my clients do a physical, it's an actual, because I don't, some things I'll pull a mental image for you. But for this, I have them do an exercise. And almost everyone who's come this way has done it, where I have you basically get up and go to your bathroom, your wherever your faucet, and I tell you take 2 cups, right? Fill one, or just use your faucet and get a cup, and continue to just let the water fill that cup. A cup that is full past its capacity overflows, and nothing, no new water is coming in. Whatever is in there is flowing out. And it's just an image that a lot of them find quite, it's not an image, it's an exercise that a lot of them find quite powerful. When you're full, you bounce away blessings, you bounce away opportunity, you bounce away good stuff, some bad stuff too, but you don't have the capacity to take in anymore. You have to let certain things overflow. It's again, it's about balance. Guilt is a part of that, but then again, it's affirming yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. You absolutely cannot pour from it. No one can. And so you pour into yourself so you can pour into the various roles, into the various things you have lined up, and into the various people who make up your relational life.
I'm learning that more and more every day. Thank you so much for all of that. So you're giving us so many practical tips when it comes to self-care and all of that. Now that we go into the closeout section, would you mind telling us also 3 practical tips you would recommend for someone who is looking to get into business right now? Things that they can do right now to get started.
Forget the business plan. No, I'm lying. I'm lying. Meditate, pray, whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you believe in, sit with yourself. Call on whatever higher power instructs your life, and make sure that you are one in alignment with purpose. If it's just because of money, it's just if you're not doing certain things for the right reasons, if it doesn't feed into your purpose, your overall purpose in life, you'll struggle, because you're going to get to a point where there will be those days when you need to dig deep, and you will be digging from nothing. So make sure that you are in alignment with purpose, one, or with your purpose. Two, make sure you surround yourself with your yes whisperers, your yes screamers, your biggest cheerleaders. Make sure you're aligning yourself or surrounding yourself with people who will challenge you. In the beginning, you need a very practical and objective voice. You don't really need the naysayers, so you need your cheerleaders, because you're going to need that to gather speed to be able to move. Build your network is essentially what I'm saying. Have all the right kinds of people around you. And then 3, it's not very practical, but it's, baby, please step off the ledge. Start, however small, however minute, however in your head might be insignificant, whatever it is that you are looking to do. Third practical tip: start. You don't have the website yet? Okay, start. You don't have the accountant yet? Okay, start. Every single last everybody started from somewhere, so you might as well start from your somewhere.
And to add to that, I'm thinking focus on what you do have.
Not what you don't. Yep.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for that. And talking about networking, would you be open to giving about 30 minutes of your time to someone listening right now who would like to reach out to you, to build their network, to learn some more from you?
Definitely. Every contact info for me. You can check out my website. Rita has it, but it's www.naapappoe.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my email is there. My phone number is there. You can even contact me directly through my site. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, I hope you listening, go ahead and contact Na. She is happy to hear from you. Okay, now, well, thank you so much. I had so much fun speaking with you today, and I am sure our listeners learned a lot from you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
You are most welcome. See you again soon. Thanks for listening to this episode of Begin, Build, Blossom, Your Business Journey, a CME Accounting LLC podcast. Please subscribe and be on the lookout for our next episode. If you'd like to share any feedback with us, please email us at podcast@cmeaccountingllc.com.